Hey, how is everyone doing? I'd like to take the time to welcome you to another Morning Glory Apostolic Prophetic Center video. I am your host, Deidre Hubbard, and today we're going to continue this message we started earlier, the standard of suffering. The standard of suffering. So, if we look at our life, and just to reiterate, we understand that there's a lot of things that we have to go through. There's a lot of things that we have to endure. It's a lot of things that we would give ourselves and try to claim it as God. And a lot of times, what we see is that because we're living this life and we are often taught that we need people in our lives, we need this and we need that. Oftentimes, we forget who we are because we're trying to do things the way we want to do it, but we using we using what we think, what we do, but we trying to fit it in with what God said. So today we're going to finish this one with John chapter 21. I think that's what we're going to believe. And this is after Jesus was resurrected and all this and all that and this and that. So we got to understand it's certain things that you should be aware of and have knowledge of after you consider yourself saved, full of the Holy Ghost, or after you come into the mindset of Christ. Because what's happening is that many of us coming to Christ, but we trying to make Christ fit into our mindset, our standard, our understanding, and our direction. And for a lot of us, that's why you're confused. That's why you're upset. That's why you're disgusted because you're still trying to do it your way. So here in John 21, verse 1, it says, after these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. And in this way, he showed himself. Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two other of his disciples were together. Simon Peter said to them, I am going fishing. They said to him, we are going with you also. They went out and immediately got in the boat, and that night they caught nothing. So here we see that Jesus is gone, and which means Jesus has been transfigured into the spirit of what he should have been all along. So he's nowhere around to lead the disciples. Here's no way around to point the disciples in the right direction. So what the disciples did, they picked a leader unto themselves. See what Peter did, Peter went back to what he used to. And see a lot of you, when God don't answer, when God don't confirm, when God don't allow you to see what he's doing in the background, a lot of you go back to what you know. And this time, you're taking people with you, not for the sake of them learning who they are, it's for the sake that you don't have enough God in you to tell them, go your own way. See, everybody, notice how he named each one as an individual, but then they said two others that they didn't give a name to. See, some people are appointed by God knowingly and some unknowingly. But when you have a relationship with God, you got to be dependent on which way God tells you to go and don't go with the flow. See, that's what's wrong with this election. Black folks got a herd mentality. All you need to say is black. Everybody get behind it. Ain't nobody got their own thoughts. Ain't nobody got their own opinion. And then you got Mr. Plies. I've been on him like a boat. He talking about all this respect that he got for Kamala Harris. And I just asked him a question. What's the difference between Kamala Harris and them women in them videos you eating fruit off their butt? They butt naked showing their tatas and they coochie and in your latest video you got one undercover like she getting you some oral sex. What's the difference? That Kamala get all this attention and respect from you, but the everyday woman you disrespect. She can't answer because there ain't no difference. Because a little leaven the whole lump. So just because somebody got a little notoriety, they mean more than you than somebody who ain't got nothing. And that's what's wrong with Peter. So Peter always was the first to do everything, the first to say things, the first to try things. But now, when the moment of truth comes and he can stand up and be a leader, guess what he do? Go back to what he know. And see, that's why a lot of your relationships are not at the level that they should because you're doing it based on what you know. Well, my dad had taught me this how you treat a woman. My mama taught me this how you treat a man. Listen here. The man you marry ain't your mama man. The woman that you marry, that ain't your mama. So I can't listen here. I ain't had no daddy, so we understand that. All right. So I didn't have a man really to teach me how to treat me to be a woman. But what I seen because of my daddy's son, I seen the unhidden bondages of how I treated women based on how he treated my mom, because it was in him. I can't I can't really run away from that until I question why I was doing it. Now, so how can me, if I had a dad, growing up, that my dad said, hey, this how you need to, you see the way I treat your mama? That's boy, you better treat that woman. They ain't the same. Different genetics, different spirit, different upbringing. So a lot of you failing because you using mama recipe. Mama recipe only good for cooking. All right. Daddy, daddy directions only good for the standard that he think right. See, you got to go to God and ask him what's the recipe for what you got. A lot of y'all won't do that because you ain't confident you hear God, or you may be in fear that God tell you that you wrong. And Lord forbid if you wrong. So here Peter says, I go a fish. And see, that's why I like the way God individualized who I am. Yeah, yeah, y'all remember we just talked the other day, the distinct destination? I don't sound like everybody. I don't do like everybody, nor do I try. I turn this laptop on, or if I'm standing somewhere, I just open up the Bible, whatever God says, God says. See, I don't want to be so focused on missing a revelation that I forget to receive revelation. So what happened? Peter's faith is compromised. It's compromised that, like many of you, how can you sit around Brother Hubbard and don't grow? you don't have faith in them. See, I pay attention whether I say anything to anybody or not. I ask questions a certain way for a reason. I look at who growing for a reason. And there ain't no way that many of you who had personal and one-on-one contact with me, you still confused and you don't understand, but people that's in other countries, other cities, and that they growing by leaps and bounds. And you still now some of y'all going to listen to somebody else, and you still ain't nowhere near you need to be in God. So it says that night they caught nothing. See, look at your life. Are you really successful or are you just struggling? You just got to be honest. Is God really blessing you or you just barely getting by? See, the problem is y'all done lied so much and said God done bless you and gave you, and you too embarrassed to tell people that you messed up. See, that's why I sit back and watch everything, but I don't say that all the time. People around here promoting books they just wrote, talking about it's a bestseller. How this book a bestseller and you done got 10 or 15 that ain't sold nothing? You got to sell something to be a bestseller. I'm looking. I'm looking at people call themselves CEOs, three and four, five business, but you got GoFundMe for the same business that you would see. I ain't never seen a CEO with a GoFundMe. I'm confused. Why y'all can't? I done seen CEOs hopping Uber here and there, but they got cars too. They just don't want to drive. See, God can't bless a lot. See, you can't do what I do, and I'm growing and leaps and bounds. Ooh, I can do that. Case in point, I was looking at this business. I've been looking at it about 2 months. I found and I seen what the guy had. I said, man, I can do that. So I'm sitting there scratching my head. I said, yeah. I said, I got to figure out how much to charge it. But that Holy Spirit, he said, reach out to him. Now watch this. Watch this now. I'm trying to teach y'all something. He said, yeah, just set up an appointment. I said, hey, how much it is to talk to you? It was like uh $100 consolation fee. Now, now, now we get into something. Thinking people just got to say something to you for free. This man trying to make money. I ain't got the knowledge. Okay, it's worth $100. I think we was on the phone maybe 15, 20 minutes. I don't think people supposed to give y'all something for free and you go do it and make money just like that. So I'm listening to him. I thought he had a normal machine that you can buy from Home Depot because I'm looking at it. He said, no, I paid $10,000 for that. I think he had normal stuff. No, they have to come with the machine. Because he said, if you don't have the right stuff, he said that was wrong with people. They've been thinking they can go and just get this. This is not what it is. It looked like it, but it ain't it. This custom made. It just looked like what it looked like. And it looked like a generator. I said, huh. He said, yeah. So if you were to try to use a regular generator, he said you would tear people's stuff up or you would blow it up because you got to have the tools to regulate the power source that's going into what you're trying to do. I said, dog, I said, I'm glad I called you. See, the reason y'all ain't catching them is you trying to go to you ain't trying to go through the door. All right. Watch this now. I ain't got nothing against you going to school. You really ain't called, so you don't understand ministry at the spirit. So you go to school to be called pastor just to come start a church, but you don't have the gift of discernment. You don't even have a pastoral spirit. You don't even know how to treat people. When you get upset with people, you stop talking to them. When they use you, you talk to them any kind of way. That's why a lot of your church is messed up. It ain't in them. They want to learn the surface part of ministry. We talking about the end part of ministry. It got to be in your heart. See, that's why they said, I don't see how you do this. If it's in you, it's in you. See, when it's in you from birth, when it's in you from the spirit, it's not hard because you already been pre-programmed by God. You know what I'm saying? See, that's why I talk about these people with this convenient ministry. What you mean you sick? Who cares? Put your mask on, go to talking. You can you can talk in between coughs. You can talk in between blowing your nose. Huh? Watch this. You ever heard of being healed while you trying to heal others? I've been through plenty of things in my life since I've been in ministry. And you'd never know I went through anything unless I told you. You know why? It don't supposed to stop nothing. Death can't keep me down. Sickness can't keep me down. I ain't got no laptop. That don't keep me down. You got a cell phone. I got to work. See, Peter went back to what's convenient from him because he didn't understand being a leader. It takes work. How y'all think that book over there? Unleash the leader in you. See, had I followed what man say, I probably just now begin to minister. Had I followed man, I just now begin. But because I follow God, I'm right on time. See, what y'all got to realize for many of you, you met me right on time. Right on time. Some for the good of you, some for the bad of you. But when the morning had now come, Jesus stood on the shore, yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Then Jesus said to them, children, have you any food? They answered him, no. And he said to them, cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some. So they cast, and now they were not able to draw it because of the multitude of fish. Huh. If you read in the spirit, you will see the pattern of why they didn't know who Jesus was. Because every time Christ stopped to say something to them, he had to prove a miracle over and over again. It's dangerous as leaders to have people close to you that's not close to you. Who do men say I am? How you gonna do this, God? How can you learn from a person that you don't know? They heart went in it. I'm gonna prove it to you now. See, you got people that listen to me every day, but their heart ain't in me. They hear everything I say, whether good or bad. They listen, but their heart ain't in it. He said, have you any food? I got people that learned from it and still hungry. Why? Because they wouldn't eat the food I was feeding. They waiting on the prophecies. They want on the miracle. See, watch this. The reason why God takes us through a lot of things, he's preparing you for what he's gonna give you. But see, if you ain't being prepared by what he think is right for you, then you're not going to see when he has something for you. See, now they got a stranger in the words. Have you any food? But watch how Jesus appeared suddenly. Yeah. You do know when September here, we're gonna step over in another dispensation. We're gonna step into a season of suddenly. And it only gonna suddenly happen if you consistently follow him. You got to follow God. See, you can go from starving to rich. Y'all do remember I told you that in one of them prophecies God gave me that when you in the right flow of God, everything you need can happen overnight. Children, have you any food? They said no. You got to ask yourself, why do I listen to Brother Hubbard? Am I trying to learn or I'm just nosy? Do I am I trying to steal a revelation to teach? Do I just want to hear if he talking about saying my name, if he talking about something? Why? See, why do you go to the church you go to? Are they really feeding you, or you think you're being filled? So here he said, children, remember when I told you you got to watch how God addresses you sometimes. He might call you servant, boy, child. He might call your name, or he might call you according to your gift. But always pay according to the greeting. See, he used a common greeting because Christ already knew what they did was a common action. He already knew they were going to go back to fishing. But watch this. These were professional fishermen. They went fishing at the exact time. And whereas they used to get food, now they ain't got nothing. See, the way God deals with us, he takes the strength of what we know away from us and he directs it in a different direction. See, that's why a lot of you get confused because what used to work don't work no more. What you used to do don't do no more. It ain't going through. So watch this. You don't have a sense enough to change direction. So this way Christ come in. Go to the right side. But understand what Christ did. He did it in the light, daylight. He did it when it was unpopular to fish. It was popular to fish at night, huh? So it wasn't no logical reason why one side of the boat would be better than the other side. But watch this. He was just trying to see, do you trust my word? A lot of you don't trust Jesus. See, you can't be afraid to change your mind, change your methods, change your mentality, change churches, change leadership. Because see, I got plenty of valid proof that people often tell me and continue to tell me they didn't meet God till they got around me. And here we talking about people that been in church and ministry 10, 15, 20 years. You know why? Because I pulled the cover off of religion. See, religion does not allow you to prove who you are. They just want you to prove that you honor this man or this woman. They want you to prove that tithing protects you. God ain't no mafia boss. This ain't no done. What they call it? This ain't no money grab. Ain't no protection racket. He wants you. So for a lot of you, you scared to change. That's why you still get tricked out your panties. That's why you still heartbroken. That's why you still ain't got no power. But when Christ said change, they couldn't even bring the fish in. Yeah, it was too much. A lot of you in the spirit of lack because you still trying to buy lottery tickets. You still trying to buy love. You still trying to prove yourself. And God then gave you all the signs, talk, wonders, and prophecy that you need to change who you are. See, it's something when God sends somebody in your life and they keep telling you the same thing that you're trying to overlook. It's because you scared of change. Mm. Verse 7. Therefore, that disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, it is the Lord. Now, when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he had removed it and plunged into the sea. But the other disciples came in the little boat, for they were not far from land, but about 200 cubits, dragging the net with fish. Yeah. So, did nobody recognize who Jesus was until after they seen the miracle? Then John recognized who it was. Then he told Peter. See, what we miss in this particular verse, because it said the disciple who Jesus loved, always leads. And a lot of you ain't got real leaders because they don't know what love is. Some of you ain't got real husbands and wives because they don't know what love is. They think love is what love does. Because that's what grandma done taught you. That's what the world say. But when you go to that Second Corinthians and to describe what love all about taking in spite of receiving. Oh, so see what y'all doing now is what y'all call favor for favor. If they do that and show me that, then I'm gonna do this and show them that. But if they don't do that and show me that, then I ain't gonna do this and I ain't do that because they showing me by not doing it, they don't love me. And some of y'all can't get it to your thick skull what I be trying to tell you because in your head it's still about favor for favor. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Because we scared to go over there in that first Corinthians 13. We scared to go over there and look where it says it keeps no account of wrong. What you mean? You got a list of how many times your husband cheated on you, what girl is, what phone number? What you mean? You got a list of how many times your husband and cussed you out, he done cheated on you, he done snuck over to the hotel with the other little husband. Huh? Why you how was that love and you got the key on it? Shit. Huh? It is not self-seeking. That's what I just said in plain English. If you don't do this, then I ain't gonna do that. See, love don't you cannot call it love if you do something to a person and they do it back. It's because you seeking. You do not have love. I don't care what you say. If it don't line up with the love in his word, then it ain't love. Love don't boast. Girl, look at this big old ring he bought me. Man, look at this boat she done bought me. Take whatever you given and go on. Now you want to see. Now we got to play how big the ring game is. See, love when the love won't care if it ain't no bigger than my thumb. Ah, y'all don't want to hear that because I got you. So Peter plunges in the sea. See, what that illustrated, it says he put on his outer garment, which means watch this. He had no internal knowledge of who Christ was. He had an external knowledge based on his miracle. So when John told him what he did, he put on his external garments, which means he plunged in the sea because he only knew who Christ was based on what Christ did. See, Christ got to be in your heart. That's why John recognized him first. But his heart wasn't fully in it because he was beginning to be remorseful because Christ was gone. See, a lot of times, that's why you can sit over there in depression and hurt and grief because you'll miss the voice of God. So watch this. So he stripped down just to just to go catch some fish. Stripped down, which means he was naked, he was open. See, a lot of y'all, you say you strip for Christ, but every time I look at you, I see the attributes of the world. How you a woman leader leading a ministry, and I got to see your titties all out on your social media page? Oh, you only a woman at church, and you a whore in the streets. I got it then. Just say that. Just say that. Tell the church that. Because see, if you're a real leader, we shouldn't be able to tell the difference of you and the people you discipling. But I guess when you look like the one you disciple, that means they got more of an influence on you than you on them. Okay, that's answer my question. So the other disciples are dragging the net with the fish, dragging the net with the fish. See, just like Peter, he don't he really didn't want to do the hard work. He just wanted to acknowledge the work was done. So the fish was caught. But let me go to the fish whisperer. See, a lot of y'all so in a rush to know who Christ is in your life that you forget that you got to live a life in Christ. You can have all What this one say? You can have all the spiritual saying you want. What this one say? Oh, what does thou shalt not try me? Okay, well, don't try me then. See, too many of you trying to prove that you got a relationship with God, and as you prove your relationship with God, people are actually singing that you don't have one. So we go into verse 9. Then, as soon as they had come to land, they saw a fire of coals there and fish laid on it and bread. Jesus said to them, bring some of the fish which you have just caught. Simon Peter went up and dragged the net to land, full of large fish, 135, 153. And although there was so many, the net was not broken. See, watch this. Here Jesus comes, still being a servant. See, if you live your life prophetically, he was trying to tell Peter, stop being in a rush to be a leader when you don't know how to lead. See, that's why he took him back to being fishing. Now he see him again, he all wet, which means you full of revelation, but you don't know why you got that revelation. Bring some of your fish. Bring an appetite. Not only bring an appetite, bring something to add, which I've already prepared. See, your ministry already in you. You just don't know how to prepare it to go to Christ. That's where people like me come in. I teach you how you either want it filleted, head on, head off, whole, eyes in, eyes out, fins in, fins off. See, the problem is that so many are ready to jump in ministry, but they don't know where they fit. See, just because you call does not mean that you called to operate. You could be called to assist. You could be called to support. Don't immediately think because you get a call or you think you call that you just got to lead people. I see a lot of people that got people messed up because they weren't called to be a leader. So watch this. So when we talk about that number, when we do go into 153, if you study the Hebrew words and the numbers, that 153, it adds up to Peter and fish. Peter, I'm showing you the gift of miracles in you. Peter, I'm showing you that you're called to feed people. Peter, I'm showing you that you are dripping with revelation. But Peter, you don't see yourself. That's what's wrong with a lot of y'all. You don't see yourself. That was wrong with me. I didn't see myself, but when God told me to see myself, I enjoy myself a whole lot more now. What you didn't understand, what you didn't understand, if you really study Peter's life and fishermen back then, they never caught fish without counting them. Peter didn't have the time to count the fish this time. But according to the writer, Peter knew how many was in there. See, y'all don't know what's in you is because you taking too long, whether whether under people who really ain't got no relationship with God, under people who hear God sometime that time, you don't know what's in you. Because sometimes you listen to people who get you to believe that God didn't call you how he called you. That's what they did to me. But I had sense enough to hear God for myself. So Jesus said, come and eat breakfast. Yet none of the disciples dared ask him, who are you? Knowing that it was the Lord, Jesus then came, took the bread, gave it to them, and likewise the fish. This is now the third time Jesus showed himself to the disciple after he was raised from the dead. See, a lot of times when you see a miracle of Christ, oftentimes it's going to leave you speechless. Because when you begin to question who he is and how it came about, it put doubts in your house sometimes. Put doubt in your mind. So you got to understand that a lot of things that some of you asking for, you is full of doubt, full of complaints, full of arguing. Get up and just take what's coming. So they ate. The Bible said they ate. Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me more than these? He said to him, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. He said to him, feed my lamb. He said to him again a second time, son of Jonah, do you love me? He said to him, yes, Lord. You know I love you. He said, tend my sheep. Hmm. He said to him the third time, son of Jonah, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. What does all that got to do with Jesus? It's simple. So we see Christ then showed himself 3 times since his resurrection. And every time Peter was there. Peter didn't get the message. I need you to operate in the spirit of who I am. So since Peter couldn't get the message, watch this. Let me direct to Peter what I want him to do. So notice what Christ did. He didn't address him as Peter. He said Simon. See, when Peter got the revelation of who Christ is, that's when Christ said, I'm going to build on you. But here, he went back to who he was because Peter went back to what he knew. And a lot of you can't stand in the fullness of God is because when you don't hear his voice, when you can't get confirmation, when you can't find nobody speaking what you need to hear, you go back to the place that you still was in bondage to. So Peter didn't steal, he didn't stand on business, as y'all say, of being faithful in Christ. See, you got to know that you know Christ directing you, whether you hear God's voice, you don't hear God's voice. Whether you see God in it, whether you don't see God in it. You got to be confident in God at all times. He said, do you love me more than these? So what he's saying, compare your love. See, a lot of y'all love things more than you love God. Suppose God don't give you the woman of your dream, the man of your dream, the marriage you with. What you gonna do then? What you gonna do? See, a lot of you love external gratifications of the world and you hate the internal love of God. I can prove it. Because every time you pray for something, you praying for something that makes you feel comfortable on this earth, in this life. You ain't praying for God's kingdom. You want somebody to pat that butt, legalize sex, take care of you, help you with the children. Y'all ain't asking nothing about the kingdom. So he asked him again. But he said, feed my sheep. Uh-huh. So what he was saying, I need you to give them a chance how I'm giving you. I need you to treat them how I'm treating you. Your heart ain't in me, Peter. That's why I got to make sure you know who I am. See, he said feed, then he said tend. See, feed means understand who you are in your authority. Tend means start operating in your authority. A lot of y'all stuck on the feeding part, but you ain't got no power to operate. See, that's why when you hear people like us, you don't want people to hear it because we expose your weakness. Because we experience this supernatural stuff. Y'all fake it or don't even talk about it. All y'all go to is the word. We try to tell you, we try to send you up there where it's going on. See, he went to that third tank and Peter got grieved. Now watch this. I'm trying to help you. And if anybody say, if I hear anything else other than what I'm finna say, I ain't talking to you no more. Now, the difference between a lamb and sheep is actually no different. The difference is, though, a lamb is under 12 years old and a sheep is over 12 years old. It only takes, but a true shepherd would know which one is of age. It's because you got to study it, and spiritually, it's just a knowing. Okay. So what God was instilling in Jesus is trying to teach Peter to understand you got to flow in the spirit at all times. Because see, some people may appear ready, it ain't ready. Some people may be ready, but not there yet. So here, Peter got grieved. Now, watch this. Love doesn't grieve. So actually, all Christ was doing, Peter, I'm not in your heart. Because see, when you understand love through the eyes of God, you never grieve because love is based on giving. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. It didn't say God cried when he gave him away. It didn't say God was sad. It didn't say God was hurt. It didn't say God was depressed. So anytime love grieves you, anytime you feeling that you ain't unloved, guess what? Ain't no God in you. If you searching for love, ain't no God in you. Because the Bible teaches us God is love. And once you are complete in him, according to Colossians 2 and 10, you have the authority to overcome anything. See, Peter didn't know how to love Christ, but Christ know how to love him. Y'all got to be careful. What's the word we're gonna use? I can make it I can make it sound right now. What's the word? What's the word? You got to be careful smothering people with your kind of love that's really not love because it's based on what you can get out of that person, not what you putting in that person. But y'all ain't got to listen to me. you're gonna smother the life out of some people. 1 Corinthians 13. Love, it is not self-seeking. So when you seek for people to give you the same thing you giving out, that ain't love, y'all. That's lust. That's desire. That ain't God. But that's all right. Y'all gonna believe how you want to believe. You can't change my mind. Because I'm in the word. I don't know what y'all in. Self-seeking. So here we got to understand is then Peter had to understand Christ knew him better than he knew himself. See, if you got to grieve about being loved when you asked about love, which means, well, if you love me, you'll do this. If you like y'all five love language, but if you love me, you'll give me gifts, you'll affirm me. No, that's your weakness, you follow. Love suffers, but it don't say nothing. Look at Christ walk. Stab, spit on, lied on, people reject him. It say he said number, never said a mumbling word. So why when you don't get what you got all that mouth? Yeah, that what y'all got all that mouth. You got all these different scenarios. You got all these different things worked out. Guess what? That's showing you how much and how far you are from the heart of God is because you based in your love on what people give back to you, what you trying to get out. Listen here. Here's what Brother Hubbard do with it. Because if it don't line up with the word, it's trash. I don't care how much you feel it. I don't care how much you think. If it don't line up with the word, to me, it's trash. I don't know what it is to you. To me. So what we got to understand is that the reason some of y'all suffering so much is because you ain't in the will of God. And until you get in the will of God, you're gonna always think the other person is wrong because you can't see the wrong in yourself.